Hi everyone, I'm Lorraine Driscoll, founder of Building Better Brains. Happy Friday, TGIF. So it's Dyslexia Awareness Month, and I just wanted to hop on and do a quick little snippet about Dyslexia Awareness Month and what we need to be talking about during Dyslexia Awareness Month. So, dyslexia, or the definition of dyslexia, is when somebody has a hard time connecting sounds to letters. It's when their brain has a hard time even processing sounds, processing phonemes, which are the smallest sound parcels in the English language. And that's basically the definition of dyslexia in a nutshell. It's not considered a visual problem, much to everybody's misconception. Our view of dyslexia is often somebody writes backwards, sees certain letters in reverse, the words on the page move, the words on the page blur, and actually only about 10 to 15% of true dyslexics have that experience. And I don't want to suggest that that's not happening for some people, but when somebody has issues with how they are viewing letters or words and sentences, then it actually falls into something totally different, a visual processing disorder, and that is considered a reading disorder, visual processing disorder. It does not fall under the classification of dyslexia. And why do I think this is so important to talk about is because sometimes parents are looking up definitions of dyslexia. They know their child is having a hard time reading, but their child's not falling under the classical definition of what dyslexia is. Or sometimes they get they go for a diagnosis and they're told, no, your child's not dyslexic, but there's some other issue going on. And so visual processing disorder is another type of reading disorder that's different from dyslexia. Sometimes it can fall under the name Irlen Syndrome. Other reasons why a child might have, or an adult might have, a hard time reading is that they might have working memory or a weak working memory, or weak working memory, or they might have weak working memory issues. That's a mouthful. So, for example, if they have a poor working memory, then they're going to have a hard time retaining what they're reading. They might be able to read no problem, but when it comes time to ask them what the text was about, they might have a very difficult time with comprehension. And that is something that is seen often, and these kids, these adults, are the ones who tend to slip through the cracks. So people who do have dyslexia can have a weak working memory issue, so it doesn't mean that that's not going to get flagged. But if that is the only issue and they do not have auditory processing or a phonemic deficit, then that's most likely, or that's possible, that that's going to become overlooked. And it's important to note that if there is working memory issues, one of the factors is that people who are dyslexic, who have reading disorders, are sometimes using all of their working memory to be able to decode, because decoding never becomes automatized like it does for me, or perhaps you if you're not dyslexic. It doesn't move to the left side of the brain. It stays in the right side of the brain, where it becomes and remains very laborious, and they are decoding constantly from memory. Okay, this letter makes this sound when I blend these two together. And so how on earth could they know what they're reading in terms of content if they're using all of their working memory just to decode? So it's really important, I think, to be aware that there's different, dyslexia is a spectrum, just like autism. There's different degrees. There's mild, moderate, severe. And being dyslexic does not mean you can't read. That's a big misconception as well. A lot of people think that just because someone is dyslexic that they can't read, and there are plenty of adults, there's astronauts and doctors and lawyers who, some of them have never even told a living soul, not even their spouse, that they are dyslexic, or they have such a hard time reading because they have such shame about it. And then there's other people who are dyslexic who, they read if they have to, but they really don't want to because it's just so laborious, and half the time they don't know what the heck they are reading or what the content is. And then, of course, there's people who, can get by on writing their name and they are basically illiterate. So if you want to learn more, hop on my website, follow me on my Facebook or Instagram page. I'm going to be posting lots about that during Dyslexia Awareness Month, and what I am secretly wishing I could push to be called Reading Disorder Awareness Month. Thanks for listening. And if you want to set up a free 20-minute consult, hop onto my website and I'll be happy to chat.